Hey, welcome back to the channel, my fellow weather junkies. I'm your host, meteorologist Greg Majeski, your trusted weather source here, bringing you the weather without all that social media hype. Here on your Saturday, May 31st, 2025. Now, before we get going, we always like to say thank you and welcome aboard to any new subscribers here on the channel. And if you're not yet a subscriber just yet, please help us get to 10,000. We still need to find another 1,921 of you to get to our goal. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you're alerted on future content. And if you enjoy what you see in this report, please leave me a comment down below and give me a thumbs up. It does help with the YouTube algorithm. Well, today I thought we'd start off by something a little different. We'd like to look at the current wildfire situation. We got a situation setting up here across the country where a lot of y'all are going to probably see some hazy skies over the weekend. Now, what we're currently looking at right here is the current wildfires out there into Canada and into North America. So you see all these hot spots up here. This is Canadian wildfires here. See the hot spot down here. Even have a few down here into the Minnesota area. So all this smoke is blowing into the United States because of a northwesterly flow. Definitely a little unusual to see for this time of year, but take a look at the smoke model analysis here. And boy, we got plenty of it just kind of spilling into the United States, coming into the high plains, stretching down in here and coming into the southeast. So it's going to be some hazy skies out there for the weekend. Now, the good news is the weather pattern will shift a little bit later heading into the new work week, and this should be alleviating just a little bit. But if you want to know where those hazy skies are coming from, that's what you're going to see here, my friends, here, especially in the middle of the country. Now, you know what tomorrow is? Tomorrow is June 1st. It's the official start of the hurricane season. Again, here is the official name list for 2025. Andrea will be our first named storm. And the big question, we've been kind of seeing it floating around on social media circles, is are we going to get Andrea in June in the Atlantic? It's a possibility. It's not unusual to see at least a named storm out there. It's just a question of if and when we're going to see it. So right now, the hot spots we typically look for this time of year, in the Gulf of Mexico, obviously, where water temperatures are running a bit above normal, and a little bit down here in the Caribbean. And it's that area down in here we're going to be paying attention to as we go deeper into the month of June. Now, let's go ahead and talk about this. I've talked about this yesterday, about the fact that we were having some very unusual activity showing up on the American GFS model, and it continues to do so. We continue to see a little bit of unusualness there. So what I'm going to look at here, this is looking out to next Saturday. Now, this is getting in that 7-day window. Now, the European model is still not showing anything. The GFS model consistently wants to insist it being there. Now, I don't know what the repercussions of not having enough balloon launches are going to have with the overall model tendency. It has been erring a little bit more, but again, I do look for model tendencies here. And this continues to show something in here starting to develop down in this area here as we go toward next Saturday. So we're looking right down in here of something developing, and then it's moving up toward the north. So we'll see. Again, it's still a little early, but we'll see if that works as we look for later in the week. But right now, it's spinning up but possibly a potential tropical storm, which would be Andrea, here coming in across South Florida. Wouldn't be that unusual to see that again in June. The water temperatures are on the warm side, and even the European is showing tendencies for lower pressures down in that part of the European. It doesn't quite show anything spinning up, but it is showing that tendency for lower pressure. So it does show something coming on up here and then moving up the eastern seaboard. So again, we got some time to watch this, but just so you know, for the week ahead, as we're doing these updates throughout the week, we'll be watching that Western Caribbean very closely to see if we're going to see a new tropical system form in there as we go into the first week in June. So stay tuned for that. Now, right now, officially from the Hurricane Center, as far as the next 7 days are concerned, and this is just slightly beyond the 7-day, we're not showing any activity there for right now. So looking pretty quiet. We do have I guess we call it really the remnants. They still call it Tropical Storm Alvin, but it's really falling apart pretty quickly. Some of that moisture is going to work into the southwestern portion of the United States, kind of being drawn up by what's left, a part also of an upper level low that's going to kind of maybe enhance some of the rain threats here coming in across the middle of the country. I'll show you that here in the model data in just a second. Now, there's what's left of it, not really much of it. You see some of the clouds up in here that's kind of moving up toward the north. Again, it's leftover remnants of Alvin's history, and we'll move on to the next named storm there in the Pacific. Now, as far as the Atlantic is concerned, again, looking pretty quiet, but we'll be watching this zone in here as we go in here for the next week, going into our next weekend to see if we're actually going to see potential development of a tropical depression and or a tropical storm going into next weekend. Now, let's go ahead and talk about what's going on currently across the nation. Boy, we got a big area of low pressure up here in the Northeast. I mean, it's going to be very unusually cool up there because of that. And the temperatures are going to be running well below normal. Now, here's the bad news on this, or the flip side of this. Y'all can see temperatures back in the 80s and potentially 90s by the end of next week. So get ready for some big changes there into the Northeast. You can see some of this on the visible imagery coming up here. Some of that hue coming in. That's some of that smoke coming in here, showing up on the visible imagery as well. So again, we're going to have to deal with that smoke all weekend long, unfortunately, here for the eastern, say, third or so of the United States, kind of wrapping around that big low that's there and drawing that smoke down out of Canada, unfortunately. So looking at the surface map right now, there's that low pressure system. It's very unusual to see like a 990 low, pretty low here for end of May up across the Northeast. But again, that northwest flow is going to continue in here. I still see some unsettled weather down here across Florida. Most of the nation outside of the Northeast is looking pretty quiet here for the weekend. Looking at your current watches and warnings, we do still have that heat out toward the west, out here across portions of Idaho, coming back into the interior sections of California. That's been kind of sitting there for the last few days. And it looks like we'll start to break that down a little bit here as we go in the next 7 days, as we go through time. Now, obviously, we're still dealing with some heavy rains there across the areas of the Northeast. Here is in the Albany radar here, seeing some pretty decent heavy rains in here. Just a damp, dreary day. One of those days you just want to stay inside, maybe watch some TV or something like that. But it's going to be seeing unusually cool temperatures, and you'll notice that when I show you the temperatures here in just a second. Let's go and break down the latest from the Storm Prediction Center here, as we're not looking at any major breaks here for the next few days. It's still summer, still got heat, you're still going to get thunderstorms. You'll still have some severe weather around, just a couple of pockets to watch here. Again, we're looking at the areas of the mid-Atlantic in here. We're looking at right there. Here in the middle of the country, got a slight risk there across Oklahoma and Kansas here for your day one. Let's go ahead and break down your categorical breakdown here. We'll look at your tornado threat here. Again, kind of your bullseyes right there in Oklahoma and Kansas, obviously right where that slight risk is sitting at. Your wind threat, there's running about 5% here across the mid-Atlantic, parts of South Florida, as well as sitting here from Kansas, Missouri, down through Texas, and a big bullseye, obviously, there in that yellow slight zone there. And the hail threat, obviously, will be the highest right in that same zone as well, and across parts of the mid-Atlantic. Now, what about your day two outlook? Let's go ahead and take a look at that. We're going to start seeing some things begin to shift. Here's your day two here. You can see down here across areas of Texas. East Texas got the slight risk, got a marginal risk here across portions of North Dakota. And then obviously we got this little bit here across the Intermountain regions. This one, it's going to be kicking out into the plains. We got this energy coming out here as well. So we got some energy coming this way. You got a little disturbance riding that way, and that's going to set up for some pretty good active weather going into Monday and Tuesday of next week. So as we look at the day three, which is going to take us into Monday, boom, here's our outbreak here of some severe weather here coming from portions of the Dakotas, back into Nebraska and parts of Colorado. And this could really kind of ratchet up a little bit, not only for Monday, but going into Tuesday. So would not shock me a little bit to see the Storm Prediction Center maybe go to enhanced area. I think potentially going into Tuesday, we'll see, as we got to multiple days of severe weather going into this upcoming week. And so stay tuned for a breakdown on that here in just a second. All right, so look at your flood look. Again, we got dealing with those heavy rains up across the Northeast. Obviously dealing with that for today. They got that slight risk up there. So obviously seeing the heavy rains up in this neck of the woods right now with that low pressure system up there. But it is moving off, so we'll see things begin to improve. Here's your day two. It's pretty much gone out of there. And then we got some of that moisture coming in across the southwest. You're seeing that little marginal risk here across Arizona with that upper level low and whatever's left of that moisture of Alvin being pulled up to the north there. That's going into your Sunday. Monday, that shifts up into the high plains there a little bit. Obviously, the reason for that is because we got that moisture coming in. We're expecting thunderstorms to erupt in this area. That's going to be our severe weather hot zone going in there. So you got that slight risk going there in the yellow. And then a bigger area here, kind of shifting toward the middle of the country. That's going to sit there going into Tuesday as well as into Wednesday. So it looks like some more wet weather there across the middle of the country from parts of the Midwest. It's coming back down toward the south central portions of the United States. All right. So let's go ahead and break down your models here. Let's go ahead and get this ready for you here, as we're going to be looking first at the short-term model. We're looking at the NAM, your intermediate model. I really should call it that. It's 84 hours out. So we're kind of seeing how things are going to progress this weekend. Okay, the first thing, obviously, we're going to get rid of that storm in the Northeast. It's going to finally kick on out here. Bye-bye. Say goodbye out there. And then we're going to be watching out here into this part of the country. There you go. You see that big weather kind of breaking down in there. Let me go ahead and slow this down for you here a little bit. We'll go ahead and drag you through this. Again, we're saying goodbye to that low pressure and then lower out there into New England. So going into Sunday, most of the nation not looking bad. There's some weak showers here that may set up here across portions of Tennessee into portions of the Carolinas going into Sunday afternoon. We've got some wet weather here across the southwest. That's part of that upper level low that's kind of kicking in, plus a little bit of that moisture coming in. But other than that, most of the nation is pretty quiet here on your Sunday. Now, what about your going into Monday? Well, that's when we watch that little system kind of see that moisture kind of moving up here. Boom, kind of moves out of the southwest and into Colorado. It's going to enhance the thunderstorm threat there. So going into Monday, we're going to watch that area for that initial round of severe weather and heavy rains here stretching from Minnesota, coming back in toward Denver, right through here. Going to watch right through there going into your Monday. All right, that's going to be there. And then that'll shift a little bit off to the east as we go in toward your Tuesday. See that little low kind of coming across Iowa there and coming into Wisconsin. So this will bring that severe weather threat up here across Wisconsin, stretching back into areas of Kansas and Oklahoma going in there. And obviously with the smoke, this rain will be a nice break that'll give the atmosphere a little bit of a bath there, especially across that part of the nation. All right, so let's talk about the total rainfall totals here. Again, we got a big bullseye right there where those thunderstorms are lighting up here across Nebraska, Iowa, and stretching into Wisconsin. So over an inch of rain in here, seeing some localized areas, maybe 2 to 3 inches. You see a 2-inch right there. There's a 2.5 inch right there. There's a 3-inch right there. So it looks like we're in store for some pretty heavy rains with the thunderstorms through there. Again, we got the rains across the northeast. That'll be wrapping up mostly for today. West Coast looking quiet, and we got a little rain here across portions of the southwest. Obviously, any kind of rain they can get down there, they'll take it. They've been under severe drought for so long down there, so that's definitely a welcome sight to see. All right, so let's go ahead and beyond this, look at your temperatures here. We're going to see summer start to really envelop a little bit more of the country. Now, look at your highs this afternoon. I mean, the Northeast, y'all sitting in the 40s up here. This is a dreary, damp, miserable day up there. And like I said, by the end of the week, y'all can see upper 80s to near 90 degrees. So get ready for the flip side. It's coming back at you here toward the end of the week. Got the hot weather out here in California. Look at all this purple. That's all that 100-degree temperature, 90-degree temperatures here for your Saturday. Let's look at your Sunday morning lows here going into our Sunday morning. Again, look at all these cool weather, all this, the green here, this is temperatures in the 40s. We're warming up here in the middle of the plains here, and that's going to set up for that severe weather we're going to watch going in toward Monday. So we got this cool air out here in the west, kind of warmer here in the middle, and cooler here. So let's go into your Sunday afternoon high temperatures. Again, notice they're seeing a lot more purple down here toward Texas, so we're lighting things up, 95, 91. Looks like the temperatures are beating back a little bit there toward the Intermountain region, the California region here going into your Sunday. So that's going to be a welcome sight to see. But look how much warmer it is in the middle of the country here going into Sunday. You're going to notice the battleground really set up as we go in toward your Monday. Check out, we go in Monday morning lows here. Monday morning, again, we're still holding on to some cool air across areas of the Northeast, parts of the Midwest. Look at the big warm up here in the middle of the country, 67 degrees, big warm up here, cooler here in the Intermountain region. So it's this zone right through here as these battlegrounds kind of set up in here. So we're going to be watching right through here as that cool air kind of moves into that warm, moist air. We're going to be sending those thunderstorms are going to flare up here. And look up by the afternoon highs here. I mean, very sharp dividing line here. Clearly you can see that front showing up very nicely here. Right through here. So showing up very nicely. Look at the temperature contrast here. I'll kind of light this up for you here. Again, you're looking at temperatures out here at 89. Let's go back to the Dakotas. It's 50. So you got a 40-degree swing right through there. So obviously, big clash air masses. Obviously, going to have some big thunderstorms. Look at these temperatures here, shooting up into the 90s here across Nebraska, parts of Texas. Air getting a little kind of hot and steamy out ahead of that frontal system. And that's going to set up that severe weather risk going into Monday, and that'll continue into Tuesday as well. All right, so let's go take this a little bit further. We're going to look at the big picture here. This is the European model. Going to take you out for the next 7 days. We're focusing on the 7 days, folks, because beyond 7 days, it's extrapolation at that point. The one thing your eyes are immediately drawn to, obviously, is this big area of low pressure. Again, seeing something that's down to like 989 millibars in the end of May from the Northeast, that's very unusual. Here's that upper level low that's bringing up that moisture from what's left of Alba, and that's going to be kicking up this way. And looks like we're going to see things begin to improve there in the Northeast. So again, watch this as that low pressure pulls on out, swings up toward the north. We'll see this little disturbance is kind of kicking out. So you see the disturbance kicking out of the southwest, and that's our severe weather boundary layer going in toward your Monday and Tuesday there. So that's going to go into your Monday and Tuesday as it swings up toward the north, and then we'll see things begin to improve as this kind of slides off toward the east here a little bit. So looks like as we go for the next week, this kind of slides off. Looks like things get a little bit quieter there, but this is your next 7 days. We got another system coming into the Northeast, and then we got another disturbance off the West Coast. A little bit quiet here across the South. You see that orange there? That's your high pressure here going in toward the end of the week. All right, so let's go and switch over to your forecast map here as we kind of get this on. Let me go and turn your showtime there. Again, you're looking up there at that upper right-hand corner. Forgot to turn that on for you there. So again, kind of look at, that's our thunderstorms lining up here on your Monday. So Monday, expect some active weather here with that clash air masses like we just showed you coming in for Monday. And then this will shift to the east on Tuesday. So Tuesday, we're talking about Wisconsin, going into Minnesota, going to Missouri, Oklahoma. That's our severe weather risk going into Tuesday as this pushes eastward. Now, the good news is as this moves further east, I don't think the severe weather is going to be a big deal going into the Northeast. That front loses its kick. but we got another piece of energy we got to watch out here toward the west. This is going to kick on out. We'll see another round coming in here as we head toward Thursday, toward the middle of the week there. So as this pulls out to Thursday, this is Wednesday afternoon, seeing the severe weather there going into Oklahoma and Texas. And that frontal system, like I said, is losing its kick there a little bit, going into the northeast. And this is going into Thursday morning, seeing that severe weather lighting up there across portions of Kansas and Texas once again. And this will push off toward the east as we go into Thursday. A little cluster there going across the areas of the Midwest, going to Wisconsin, Illinois, Des Moines, kind of getting in on the active severe weather going into Thursday. Friday, this kind of shifts up into areas of the Midwest, Michigan, down toward areas of Kentucky. And then that shifts off toward the east into the northeast, a little unsettled. Looks like by that time it loses its kick. And then we'll kind of see what happens going into next Saturday. We're looking for another cluster of storms here across the middle of the country going into next Saturday. So again, looks like a pretty active week. Looks like I think we'll have a threat of severe weather pretty much every day next week. But I think Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday especially are going to be the bullseye days. We're going to see probably not only a slight risk, I think we'll see maybe in getting into that enhanced area. Moderate risk, we'll see. But definitely I think we'll see a couple of days where we're going to see enhanced risk for severe weather, especially across the middle of the nation. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about your rainfall totals here. Again, we're talking about your next 7 days that we're going to be seeing this. So again, we're looking at the highest area across the middle of the nation. Obviously, it's where the thunderstorms are going to be lighting up, thus the heavier rainfall. So Oklahoma seeing over 2 inches, Iowa seeing over 3 inches. Seeing some spots up here showing 2 inches plus. So again, the highest rainfall totals up here. Obviously, the northeast is going to be getting some rain, and a little bit across the southeast as well. Not as much, but near like an inch near Metro Atlanta. Some higher totals down here. South Florida is going to be getting some decent rains too, over 3 inches. Again, they're fighting drought conditions down there, so that's some welcome relief down into that neck of the woods as well. So let's go ahead and wrap things up and look at your climate outlook here for the next couple of weeks or so. So again, this is your 6 to 10 day outlook. We're looking at the 5th through the 9th. Got that little below normal zone there across the middle of the country, but definitely seeing things warming up there in the east. So we're looking at warmer weather. Again, you saw how cold it is right now. By the end of the week, we're going to be warming things up big time up here across New England. So y'all going to go from basically like fall, winter-like weather to summer-like weather within a week. Just prepare for that. We got warm weather across the south, and we're seeing things warm up here, obviously, out here in the west as well. So how's that looking going beyond the 6 to 10 day? Let's go take a look at that and put this back in my interactive mode here. 8 to 14. There you go. Still looking at that pocket of cool air across the middle of the country. Warm in the east, warm in the west. This is going from the 7th through the 13th. And precipitation-wise, well, one thing's for sure, we're not seeing any big drought conditions kind of breaking out. It'll be dry out in the west. You see it out here. So it's dry out here, but it's kind of wet out here in the east, especially across areas of Kentucky, Tennessee, and into portions of northern Alabama and north Mississippi. And we'll go ahead and take this on out beyond this. Let's go check this out, 8 through 14. Not much change there. Still saying very, very wet across 2/3 of the nation, except for areas up toward the Pacific Northwest. We're going to stay dry out here for the most part. But this tells me, for at least for the first couple of weeks of the month of June, meteorological summer obviously beginning tomorrow. It looks like we're going to stay on the wet side. There'll be some pockets of some warm weather here and there, but we also a little bit of cool air there in the middle of the nation. As long as that's kind of sitting up there, we're going to have days where we're going to have to track severe weather, and they'll oscillate from day to day, obviously, this time of year as we go throughout the month. So stay informed out there. Again, I want to thank everybody for helping us make a big push toward our 10,000 subscriber goal. Again, we're a small channel. We need every bit of help we can get. So if you please consider it, if you'd like to have this report as part of your regular feed, please hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you're alerted on future content. And if you ever have a weather-related question, please put it down below. I'm more than happy to answer your question. I kind of like to consider myself your own personal weatherman here on the Weather Nerds YouTube channel. All right, that's your update here for your Saturday. You guys have a blessed weekend. Stay good, stay safe, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.